Wait for. Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, so this is our first supervision meeting. And I would like to just kind of start us off introducing one to another. My name is Jenna. I will Hyunju Oh, but I also go by Jenna. So you can call me whichever one you're most comfortable with. And so this I was hoping to I'll first back up and say another important thing is the pronoun that I go by, which is she, her, or hers, or they, them, theirs. I'm fine with either. Um, so I was hoping to spend this time just kind of sharing with you about my educational background, and the supervision experience that I've had, and the kind of supervision that we're hoping to have between us,
Mhm.
and some theoretical kind of orientation or background that I come from. And then if we, depending on how we feel, we can kind of talk a little bit about identity. I was hoping to. So, first, my education background started off with psychology. So I had a lot of interest in mental health from like very early on. So after I got my bachelor's, I worked in social services. I worked with immigrants and people with severe mental illness for about 5 years. And I also have a lot of experience volunteering and various nonprofit settings. So I definitely kind of appreciate the perspectives that volunteers and staff have, our frontline staff have. Um, uh, for goal of this supervision, I really hope to use this time to help each other grow. And I've come to realize that people have very different perspectives, and each person brings something very different and very valuable. So I am here to kind of support you and give you the structure to kind of grow, explore your skills and things like that. But I also am excited to learn from you as well. So hoping to use this opportunity to learn and help each other grow. Um, and um, yeah, do you have any questions at this point?
No, not at this point. I am excited. I share those same goals of just being able to learn from one another, um, and learn from your background experience and this process, and I think it's also a great idea to kind of discuss and go over how we identify ourselves, and to just start a supervisory relationship, having that having that background and knowledge of one another. But yeah, so I'm excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're interested in kind of like building this relationship from kind of like getting to know each other a little bit as well. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about supervision and kind of like the style that we are used to, and kind of the style that works best for us as well. So I can talk a little bit about my experience. This is my first time being in supervisor's role. But I've had a lot of experience working with number of supervisors that actually kind of practice very different styles. And so um, I've had experience from more like kind of like micromanaging spectrum, end of spectrum, to like very like visionary end of spectrum, and I realized that there's not always one right way. I think for different person or for different times, different style works. So I'm definitely open and hope to get kind of feedback from you. But otherwise, I think for me, I found the kind of the middle area between that more like detail oriented and like big picture oriented helpful for myself. That's kind of by default sort of what what I'm going for. Um, and then I think I've the even though like each supervision experience that I had taught me a lot, some things were harder, and things the thing that was hardest about supervision was especially the beginning phase where we're building trust with one another, um, and also finding time for supervision. So um, so I think it was helpful for me to kind of have that kind of trust building, um, and either myself or my supervisor would be when they were really intentional about kind of carving out that time. Um, and so I would like to hear from you, I guess. So I just talked a little bit about what I think kind of works for supervision for us, but I'd also love to hear about like what you think would work best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I too have had, I guess a wide range of experience as far as supervisory relationships, ranging from, a micromanaging style to, just very open and, yeah, very open relationship, freely discussing, you know, your work and everything. But I too feel that I don't know. I also like the middle because I like directness. I like being able to feel comfortable being direct, and then also the supervisor being direct as well. But not so direct. I don't know. I guess not so direct that's in a micromanaging kind of feel. Just being able to share, positive feedback and criticism, or just so that I'm able to learn myself about my work, and being able to move forward in a positive manner. So yeah, I guess I like, yeah, directness, but that not so much micromanage style, but just being able to be open with one another. I think, yeah.
Right. So it sounds like you don't mind guidance, or even would welcome it, but you would definitely like a space to explore and kind of learn your path through each situation when it
Hmm.
comes up.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Great. Yeah, I'll definitely try my best to kind of create that kind of environment for us.
Perfect.
Um, Yeah. So I can also share with you a little bit about like theoretical background that I have. So some theories that I can mention that I probably.
Oh, did I lose you?
Hello.
Hello? I hear.
1 second. I was getting a call. Okay. All
Oh.
right. Never mind. This is probably why it's important to turn off your ringtone or something, put
Yeah.
apps to sleep during supervision.
Yeah.
So I just did that.
Totally okay.
But let me make sure. Sorry, I got interrupted by a call. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, because I cannot hear you for some reason.
Ooh, you can't hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that was weird. Okay, let me see. Okay. Okay. And all right, I can hear you. It's just like a little softer for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it a little better or
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
yeah? Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, so yeah, I was gonna share some theoretical backgrounds I have.
Mhm.
So theories that I like go-to theories for me are person and environment background that I learned from kind of social work discipline, and then biopsychosocial model
Mhm.
and systems perspective. Um, so are you? I guess I don't want to like start expanding on them if um like
Yeah, yeah, I'm familiar with those. Yep.
okay, great. Yeah,
Yep.
so I basically I kind of I think um I always try to think about like what other kind of environmental forces are affecting the person and try to address those as well as the individual kind of factors. Um, as far as intervention models that I like to use, I've kind of I'm used to the clubhouse model, which is a psychosocial rehabilitation model.
The what
And
model? I'm sorry.
it's called clubhouse model.
Okay.
So yeah, clubhouse is kind of like one of the evidence-based practices
Sure.
for psychosocial rehabilitation for people with severe mental illness. And basically, I like to draw from that model. That model emphasizes kind of equality, egalitarian relationship between the staff and clients um, and teamwork, and also
Mhm.
the value and the healing aspect of work. So
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, that's kind of the backgrounds, theoretical backgrounds that I have. And the rest of the time, um, so like I mentioned, I wanted to kind of discuss a little bit about our kind of like where we come from, and you know who we are as a person, that also kind of that we bring to our work, because in social work we talk about bringing our whole self to work, and really not only bringing it but using that as a tool. And so um, it's I think like identity is not always easy for me to talk about, but I do think that it is kind of it's important, and it's an integral part of how we serve others.
Right.
So would it be okay if we talk a little bit, if I shared a little bit about my kind of my own identity that kind of has affected my work, and you can share, like you can either choose to share or not share, or share how much you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great. Hmm.
Great. Okay, so yeah, um I think so my cultural identity is Korean, and my mother tongue is Korean. Um, I um, I have a lot of experience traveling, and the most kind of impactful like experience for me has been kind of moving here. Well, here meaning to the United States, um, and then also visiting Jordan. So those are like very distinct, different cultures, and
Hmm.
um, because of that, I always kind of relate really well to other immigrants, or people who have had either direct or indirect experiences with immigration or moving.
Sure.
Yeah. Whereas I don't always like, I don't always have a lot of kind of like experience with like American pop culture. So when some people kind of like they love to talk about pop culture and um, that kind of stuff is not always uh, like basically I don't always get that. So that's
Hmm.
kind of I don't that's yeah, that's not really often the way I kind of build my relationships with my clients.
Hmm.
But I'm always like I love learning about pop culture. I always learn about new artists or new song, new movie from clients and my colleagues, and I would love that. Um, and some other things that are important for me is stress management. So I've experienced pretty like high stress work myself. So I know that kind of the work that we do in social work is often high stress, and I've experienced how it affects the work that we do, um, and so I it's really important for me. Like it's uh, like it's almost like part of like my work to
Hmm.
take care of stress and take breaks. I usually try to bring down my stress. Like when I find myself I'm getting stressed out, I like to go for a walk. Um, I love to like snack. I love smoothies and fruits. And I also kind of have utilized like my friends and
Hmm.
colleagues to talk through kind of stressful experience that I've been through, and
Sure.
so I would love to kind of encourage you to find really strong like ways to handle stress, and because I think when we do kind of walk through those times, it's stressful, but it can kind of help us grow in new ways.
Hmm.
So I'm here for you as well. If you would like to talk through stressful experiences. Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
it's definitely appreciated. I know I'm kind of I don't know, a part of that direct aspect of a supervisory relationship. I also like to be able to say, hey, I feel pretty overwhelmed right now, or I'm feeling this way. I like to be able to have that relationship where I can be open and honest about the way that I'm feeling, and be direct that way. Because I think that's important to be able to, of course, take certain steps or actions to kind of relieve that stress. Because I too like to go for walks, or just kind of removing myself from my workspace, I guess, just kind of get outside. But I also like to be able to talk about it too, just to kind of talk through that.
Hmm.
So that I'm not, because I'll have a tendency to look at the big picture rather than at small parts, and so it's important to not do that, because that's what will stress you out even more. So just kind of you know working through things step by step, and to be able to bounce thoughts, ideas, back and forth and freely. So yeah, yeah, I think that's great and important to do.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I think I kind of share that tendency with you too, to an extent. I often kind of go to like the big like
Mm.
picture of the problem, and sometimes I can kind of easily overwhelm myself. And it's really helpful to to kind of find someone else and um to kind of help me think through, okay, let's think about it in a different way, let's break it down a little bit, let's find something that we can do, so yeah,
I agree.
that's
Perfect.
great.
Okay.
So the other I think important thing when it comes to supervision is communication. So we could have like the same idea and we could like communicate like in total different ways and yeah, just come to different end up in two different places. So I appreciated you kind of being upfront about your communication style, being direct, I heard you say. Or maybe that's how you prefer um, the supervisor to be
I
more kind of direct.
both, because I also like if I'm feeling a certain way, I will share that. I'm pretty open when it comes to that stuff, and so um, ideally, I would like for my supervisor to be able to be direct and open with me as well, to just have that in return. Yeah, yeah, I
That
think
makes
that's
sense.
important.
Yeah.
And a part of that, with communication, if someone isn't, say if I'm not understanding you or vice versa, or, like just kind of, yeah, I think it's important that, we feel comfortable, enough to say, hey, I'm not sure I get what you meant by this, or, yeah. I think it's also important to be able to have that, as well, so that I can only provide for better communication. So
Right, right. I agree. And I myself also identify with like direct communication style. I definitely like receiving open, like direct communication.
yeah,
I will say I'm not very like high on like sarcastic like communication style. I think that's like a very it can be very tactic and valued like sometimes in American culture. Um, but I uh I it's I think I also value like clear kind of open communication. So
absolutely. I think just clear, direct. I think that's, yeah, definitely, the better route to go. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think yeah, it's I think that kind of communication would kind of help us in our work with clients as well. Just kind of creating that openness in our relationships. At the same time, being mindful and considerate, and graceful with our words and um keeping in mind how they can receive words just um, using kind words, but I think we can still be open and clear in our
Right,
messages.
absolutely. Yep.
Great. So yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to share with you today. But if you have any other questions, would like to talk about anything else, we can do
Uh,
that as well, or we can also just kind of finish here too.
yeah, no, I think yeah, I feel pretty comfortable sharing, and I think this is a good start to our supervisory relationship. And like I said before, I look forward to this kind of developing and growing. So, but as of right now, I don't think I have any questions at the top of my head currently. So,
Okay, great. I guess we I don't know if you're supposed to.
I think they have to be
Yeah.
two separate links. So I could always stop this and send another invite.
Okay. I guess I was. Do I need to ask you questions about your identity too, or um, I
Uh,
don't.
I oh
Only if you. I think it's up to you though. Like if you
yeah,
want to share it.
actually, you know what? Yeah, earlier you did mention the importance of sharing identities, and I had agreed with that. And then you said to share as much or as little, and so I didn't. So I apologize for that. So
That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. So um, I get so my preferred pronouns are she or her. Culture identity. I am a uh, white female, cisgender female. Um, let's see. Um, I don't know, just kind of going over some of these aspects, and also let's see. Yeah, so I would say I'm a little bit more of an extrovert. I value independency, but then the ability to kind of, you know, if during my work I'm experiencing an issue, you know, I do like the ability to either connect with you, whether it's, you know, via email or, you know, face to face, you know, to be able to consult you for any help that I might need, or, you know, there's someone else. But being able to do that, but also being, you know, independent, as I'd mentioned. I let's see.
Okay.
Um, um,
Are there any ways you think like your values, beliefs, and personal experiences affect the way you kind of see as a social worker?
um, yeah. So I think, yeah, so how, yeah, my values, beliefs, and experiences affect the way I see my role. I think, you know, some past experiences that I've had were kind of issues around age, and where you know, I've worked with individuals who are, you know, older than me, and so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably where more of that independence comes in, because I feel the need to kind of prove myself a little bit more. So therefore,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll end up doing more than, I mean, I don't know. I'll have a hard time saying no when
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, when it comes to like workloads or stuff like that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so as far as like personal experiences, but you know, my values and beliefs, you know, valuing independence, but also being able to consult someone if I need help. I think that's important, and that will definitely, you know, affect my role as a social worker. You know, I guess making sure that I go to someone if I need help. Um, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, well, and then also, you know, being female as well. You know, I think that can affect, you know, roles as
Sure.
a social worker. You know, yeah, a younger female, just kind of having, again, that same point of having to prove um, your abilities to be able to assist others. I think that that's something that could definitely affect the social worker role for sure. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate sharing you sharing kind of like the way you realize you are more inclined to I think that's a great insight, mindful of that as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. I really enjoyed having this first supervision meeting with you. I feel like I gotten to know you a little bit better, and I hope that we will um, have a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I enjoyed also getting to know you a little bit better, and I look forward to our next meeting. All right. Well, if that's it, then I'll just go ahead and hit stop, and then I'll send another invite.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.